This is Embrace Zoe, the podcast that celebrates struggles turned into strength. Truth is, life's uphill battle will either make you or break you. After every episode, I pray you're empowered knowing you have the spark that it takes to rise up in the dark and truly understand the power of light. I'm Michelle Salinas. Join me as we hear what it's like to be a cowgirl in a world full of cowboys. Kim's story as a professional in the livestock agriculture field will remind you and I that we are stronger when we embrace our vulnerabilities. Oh my goodness, Kim, what a blessing it is for me. We graduated high school. Oh my gosh, I'm aging us. I hope that's cool.
Fine. I was wondering if we were going to do the math on here. I'm fine with it.
Okay, this is so good. So that was 12, 13. Are we 12 years ago? Is that us?
Almost 13. It'll be 13 in June.
The beautiful thing about a podcast, I think, and social media in this world that we live in digitally is that we've been able to keep up with each other, I'd say fairly well, from
Yeah.
college life to now career life and all of the endeavors in between. I will say I am deeply honored to share this space with you because I have just seen you. If there's one word that I could share with you that you remind me of, is consistency in a great way.
Yeah. Thank you.
Because I remember were you part of FFA?
Yeah. Yeah, I was.
And I know that it's in your gene pool though, right? Your parents were into the agriculture world already.
Yeah. So, and they were actually both first generation. They both grew up in Orange County. Mom was a surfer girl. Dad was a wannabe cowboy from a distance. They both grew up in Orange County. And when we moved north to Grass Valley, they got into agriculture. And that was kind of how I grew up. I was probably 4 or 5 when we really kind of got into having cattle and being around horses. And I took it and ran with it. So it's kind of fun, I think, in our industry or this ag industry. It's, my great 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 grandfather lived here and farmed this ground. So I'm kind of that fun in between that my parents connected me to it, but it's not this deep generational pull. It's something that I got to kind of pick that I wanted to do and that I wanted to pursue. Definitely made a huge impact on me and what I wanted to do for a living and opened a ton of doors for me just through exposure and through knowing that these were career opportunities for me.
And I love that you just said that. It's a perfect segue because it's true when they say, when you see it, you know you can become it. And it is beautiful to watch other people in front of you kind of take and morph and grow in sometimes in places where there wasn't a way paved for them. I love too that your parents have always been extremely supportive, at least from my outside perspective. So how has it been, and how valuable really has it been to be able to get them to likely even give you some feedback, right, as you stepped into a career in the agriculture and beef industry?
Oh, 100%. They are so supportive and they're this great balance of supportive and realistic. They're very willing to give me a reality check when I need it.
I also love that they have the backbone in the field where they can say, like you said, nudge you in a way where maybe it's not the right move, the right direction, or the right call. And I wonder, has that strengthened your relationship with your parents, just being able to have this unique bond in what you both are really passionate about?
Think so. I mean, I don't know it really any other way, but I would think so. They've been, especially my dad, has been great about seeing me as an adult who makes my own decisions. I make my own mistakes.
Would you say that it is that you just love the animals themselves? Like there's this true gravitational pull for you when it comes to these beautiful creatures? Or is it a community that really has been something you've taken to?
I would say animals brought me here, people kept me here. I was, as every young teenage preteen girl, unconfident and hated things about myself and questioned myself, and around animals, I showed horses, I had cattle, I felt like I could do something right without judgment, and I could succeed and I could be confident. And it was kind of a snowball effect of confidence led me to more opportunities to build confidence.
You are so inspirational right now in what you shared because you said animals helped you find the confidence that perhaps during those teen times that are already so difficult, it allowed you to feel like welcomed and loved and supported. So how important was that? That I'm sure was transformational, would you say?
Ultimately, what's important is you as an individual in your relationship with this animal. And that was huge for me because I went through weird, horrible friend group breakups that were devastating, but I had this kind of backbone of, days are tough, especially for teenage girls. And I still got to go to the barn and have my horse most days. So I was super fortunate to have that opportunity where I could kind of go have this outlet that let me thrive, that wasn't this society standard of looking or acting a certain way. I got to be something completely different that really gave me a ton of confidence and a place to sort of hide out and get all of those teenage emotions handled, and then get to come home and or go to school or do whatever it was that I had to do that was a little bit more normal societally.
So now that you are here, you graduate college and you go right into the agriculture career field, right? So talk to me about the first interview.
Most ag interviews were really just gauging base skills. Can you communicate? Can you work on a team? Can you handle conflict? Can you handle resolution? It's all the same skills. There's just this underlying, are you passionate enough to learn? Because I think that we do get a reputation for being a little bit exclusionary. We want people who've been in the industry for so long, but there are people joining the ag industry every day. Fortunately, it's not a ton of technical information. It's a lot of base skills. And that's the fun thing, is that it's still universal. You're still learning communication skills. You're still working on a team. You're still doing leadership. You're still doing conflict resolution. And then we kind of gauge your interest and your passion and your hard skills in the industry. So, what do you know about genetics? What do you know about nutrition? And we always say all that's teachable.
I've liked how you shared very boldly is this representation of women being powerhouses in this industry where perhaps they're like just historically doesn't mean that they weren't there. It just means that we didn't unveil the beauty that is the story of the woman in agriculture. So, how many times I'm wondering as we talk about this topic, how many times have you been the only woman at a meeting or at a ranch?
Definitely a lot of times. I have been fortunate that I have an incredibly supportive company and team that I work for. I've never felt in meetings with them that there's any reason that I shouldn't be there. It's definitely when we're working with kind of these outside sources, I'll look around and go, oh, I'm not only the only girl, but I'm the only person under, 50. So it's kind of a combination of being young and being a woman. But I'm super fortunate that some of my biggest cheerleaders are the men on my team. They're they're just passionate about what I do like I am. So I'm super, super fortunate. I know not everyone has that same story to tell. But there can definitely be frustrating times. All of those moments have come typically from people outside of the organization, but the surprise when you're educated or prepared or well spoken or knowledgeable, you're like, the surprise could probably be dropped, but thank you. So definitely a lot of times I've been the only female in the room, but the room is growing and I love seeing that.
What is the biggest thing that you've seen, like that barrier that you've also been pushing?
I think women not having this base of doubting themselves. I think that is starting to go away because I know that for me, for a lot of the women that I've talked to, our biggest barrier is ourselves and our belief in ourselves and our willingness to step outside of our comfort zone and outside of our box. Our willingness to take on a lot of burden and not say anything, to kind of suffer in silence. And I think that expectation of women in the workforce is going away. I don't think that we're putting it on our daughters and our younger sisters and our nieces. I think there are women walking into this industry without this expectation that there is a barrier. There's already 3 women in this interview. This is clearly a safe place for me. And I think that that's just shifted the approach. I don't know really that, I don't really know that the industry has done anything different. I just think that we've raised women who aren't doubting themselves. And that's made all the difference.
Hmm. And I think women seeing women like you thriving, right? Has that been really at the core of maybe not only are you passionate about what you do, but now you're also like passionate about being able to be seen as that, as a way maker?
100%. I've loved doing that. I've loved seeing younger women who I kind of see myself in join our industry and thrive. That has become such a huge reward for me to know. I don't know that I paved the way or that I set an example, but I'm at least trying to hold the door for them. I might have had to push a little bit harder than the person after me, and that's fine. I'm happy to keep holding that door open and letting more people who are passionate about this industry join it. And I like seeing that a lot of them are women.
Do you see women in different aspects of your world? Because I know you've worn a lot of hats. Like, walk me through a day in the life of Kim at the ranch. What does that look like? I mean, women could literally hold any role within the industry.
Yeah, absolutely. So my old job was definitely a little bit more fun this way. I've transitioned to our corporate office. So now I'm recruiting and I'm identifying and finding talent, which HR is HR no matter what world you're in. But my old job that I did, same company for 5 years, I hosted about 100 tours a year. So I walked people through our feed yard. I answered a bunch of technical questions about the industry. I'd hop on conference calls with the largest meat packer in the world and talk about what our expectations were and what we need to be doing better. I ran the social media for our company. We're the world's largest cattle feeder. And then there were some days that I had to go out and actually help handle the cattle or identify ones that couldn't be involved in the program anymore. Or a lot of holidays, I'd volunteer to come drive a feed truck so that one of the older guys could take the holiday off to spend with his family. So I got to do so much, which I loved because it just makes me feel more credible when I talk to people about our company and coming to work for us. I feel like I'm not filling them up with hot air. I've done a lot of the jobs, not everything, but a lot of them.
That's so cool because I do believe that we have this different vibe when we can talk from experience, and experience and struggle help build us into the women that we are today, and the way that we continue to hope to be an inspiration to others. Was there ever a particular time, Kim, where you said, "Ooh, maybe I wasn't cut for this," or "Ooh, today was a tough day," and you really kind of had to turn to those survival skills again from back in high school when you had your moment with your horse just to reconnect with the passion behind what you do?
There are plenty of days that I feel that way. Definitely in my old role, there were days that I could mess up and everything could be my fault as kind of the only person who did my job. And if I made a mistake, it could be huge and it could be really expensive. And it felt like everybody hated me and, they didn't. But my mistake caused a massive, pile up of work for other people to do. And I definitely then reverted back to, okay, well, I'm going to go handle the things I can handle. I'm going to go ride my horse. I'm going to go play with my dog. And I definitely did revert back to those kind of, okay, let's go check in with all of the base needs that I have. One of them is riding my horse. There are days that I really struggled. I suffered from anxiety and depression, and I found a great therapist, and he's definitely helped me just talk to myself, be more kind to myself. That's probably the biggest thing that I've had to change. But yeah, there are days that I look at what I do and like I'm such an idiot. And then it's changing that kind of how you talk to yourself.
I do feel like among us, especially within our age group, we're starting to normalize that not feeling good is still strength. And
Yeah.
this entire podcast is about that. It's about being okay when it's not okay, or when maybe we got a set of cards dealt to us that we were not prepared for. And yet somehow we still show up, because sometimes in life that's all you can do is just show up. Do you think that you've already reached the peak in your career where you feel like, okay, I've conquered my internal beast in terms of goals?
That is a conversation that I had with my therapist a lot as I was kind of dealing with this anxiety and depression. And it was about the time that I'd received a few awards back to back. On paper, it looked like I was succeeding and everything was going great. And I was getting all of this external validation. And he kind of checked in with me. He's like, who who are you doing it for? Is it for you? Is it for teenage you? Is it for anybody who doubted you? Is it for mom? Is it for boss? And that was such a great moment to sit back and think. And it became kind of a turning point for me of, okay, we did this. Do we need to keep scrapping and climbing and finding the next award and doing the next thing? Or is this kind of the turning point of, okay, like let's breathe, let's realize what else is important, your family, your faith, your horses, things outside of work. And so while that award was such a blessing and so fun, and I am still so proud of it, it became a great turning point for me of, okay, what else fills your cup? Because it can't be awards, it
Mhm.
has to be something else. So it was great in two ways for me, for sure.
Yeah. Do you feel enough now? Because you are enough. You know that, right?
Well, you're so sweet. I am learning that. I have to, that's one of the talking nice to myself, definitely. That conversation has to come up a lot, is you don't have to go check a box or do anything or lose the weight or dress a certain way or do the thing or win the award, or you don't have to. If you do, that's great. It's icing on the cake or the cherry on top, but it's not the cake, it's not the meal, it's not the thing you're looking for. So that's the conversation I still have to have with myself all the time.
Yeah. Has faith played a role in that for you?
Absolutely. When I was going through kind of that big wave of anxiety and depression, I had never really been, despite being from a very like rural conservative household, we were not a church going household. And so when I was about 25, I started going to church. I was pretty lonely, and maybe not from the outside looking in. You'd be like, oh, you've got tons of social stuff going on. But there's kind of just a hole in my soul, I guess is the only way to put it. And I started going to church and I loved it. There was this peace that I found in unconditional love. That definitely changed a lot of how I approached myself in my life and talked to myself and felt about me as a person, knowing that there is this unconditional love. I don't have to be employed or be successful or have all of these things going for me. That definitely played a role for sure.
Yeah. I love that it comes to us in different ways. While I do believe, because I'm a spiritual person and I've shared with you I'm a believer, while God has held me in these difficult moments, He allowed me to tap in upon being ready. It's an invitation, but you can choose to take it or not. And
Mhm.
somehow the yoke does feel lighter, right? Like
Yeah.
you can go through the anxiety and the depression, and that's very real. And I'm so glad that you mentioned therapy, because that's another big word that people should get very comfortable with. I mean, I believe that it's the best way. It's like a built-in best friend that's a little bit smarter in certain areas that allow you to navigate really big moments in your life, but also being able to be grounded in a way where there's almost like this higher calling to what we are and who we what we do. And I'm sure like that there's a level of that is necessary to have thick skin in a world where you are at fast pace. Like, let us not dwindle the fact that you are with one of the biggest and brightest companies in the beef industry and in agriculture. You gotta have that thick skin, aka like a little bit of faith in you and faith to keep you grounded, because Jesus helps when things get a real tough.
100%. Yes. I agree with everything you just said. It does make all the difference.
Do you ever journal about that? Like, how do you help yourself process? Because I don't know how it is in your industry, perhaps. Like, if there are just all these opportunities to dive into, segue into different things.
Taking a big step back from the production side really was a hit to my ego because I was no longer directly impacting what felt like our bottom line. And I didn't get to meet with hundreds of people and talk about how great I was all the time. But God's timing is so funny. As I'm struggling with this, role and not feeling as important, I found out that I was pregnant in December. So I'm due in August with my first baby.
Oh my
So that's
God,
next for me.
stop! Congratulations.
Thank you. So tackling being a working mom will be next for me, which has been obviously a huge surprise. But again, God's timing is impeccable. I was kind of struggling with this, feeling satisfied with my job and what's next. And he said, well, here's what's next. It's maybe not your job, this next chapter. Maybe it's your family.
Oh, I'm so happy I get to share this season with you.
It's
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been, like I said, kind of terrifying and nerve-wracking and not totally expected, but we are overjoyed. We are so excited, and it'll be a really interesting next chapter for me as I figure out, there's going to be a shift in priorities. Absolutely. I know that, and I'm ready for it and see what that brings, and new perspectives to the table as not just a woman, but now a mom.
And now you get to raise a baby and show them all of what they're capable of doing. That is so beautiful. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
motherhood is very healing. For me, it was more growing up without like a strong biological father figure and all the other craziness from moving from Costa Rica to Grass Valley, California, and
Yeah. A little bit of a change there.
all that. But there was always this feeling of not being lovable enough to have kept my dad around, you know? And so now I have found a lot of healing, especially because I've found God, and that is our true father, right? But I just wonder, and I post this as more of like an open door conversation before we wrap our beautiful conversation, which is I feel like I've had to go back to my younger me as I'm raising two tiny babies and bringing in a third. I've had to go back and tell the younger me, you are beautiful, you are strong, you are enough to be loved, like you mentioned earlier. And I wonder if those are conversations that you have also had in this journey, with very, very high success in the career side, but this also this like beautiful healing self-discovery and now transitioning into motherhood.
That's a conversation again that my therapist and I have is when I want to be mean to myself or I want to be hard on myself. He says, all right, so 5-year-old Kim, 10-year-old Kim, is that how you're going to talk to her? And that's made all the difference to me too, is how do you want to talk to yourself? How do you want to talk to your daughter? How do you want to talk to your little sister? How do you want to talk to, even your mom, which can be hard to remind yourself that she also has a little girl inside of her who is surely seeking love and validation. Um, so I have to check in with myself with that a lot. And I'm sure that I will be as competitive as a mom as I am at everything else and beat myself up for not hitting milestones and messing up and probably giving them all kinds of reasons to have their own therapist one day. But yeah, that's definitely something I have to remind myself of all the time is there's a little girl in there, one who's incredibly proud of you, who you've exceeded her wildest dreams for what you were capable of and what you had your heart set on, and who dreamed to be where you're at one day and be doing what you're doing today. But also to be kind to her because she's still in there struggling with all the same things you were when you were an awkward girl in high school.
I can't find a better way to end a conversation like this because that surely fills us with hope. That means that we're still talking to our little girls inside and saying, you know what, we've got this. It's almost like you've finally caught up to partnering with her and
Yeah.
loving her. And I love you. Thank you for
Oh,
this time together. Thank you for sharing the wonderful news. And I can't wait for the rest of the world to get to hear what a powerful woman you are, and that really, in the midst of struggle, we can find so much strength. So, thank you for joining me.
of course. Thank you so much for having me. It means so much that of all the people you've connected with and know and have met and crossed paths with, that you would think of me. It means so much to me, and I appreciate it so much. And it's been so nice to connect with you again and remind myself what a kind and wonderful person you are and how
Hmm.
much of an impact you're making and continue to make in the world.
Here are my takeaways. Animals have true healing power. What we say to ourselves matters, so try to be your biggest cheerleader. Our plans fall short compared to God's plan, so ultimately, His assignment is better than any title we may gain from this world. May this serve as a reminder that you have the spark you need to be the light in your story. Be empowered, and as the name says, embrace Zoe.